Continuing with Deuteronomy 29:9. You stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your God, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood to the drawer of thy water, that thou shouldest enter into the covenant of the Lord thy God, and into his oath, which thy Lord thy God makes thee this day, that he may establish thee today for a people to himself, and that he may be to thee a God, as he has said to thee, as he has sworn to thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that stands here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day. For you know how we have dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim, and how we came through the nations which you passed by, and you have seen their abomination and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. Lest there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turns away this day from the Lord our God to go and serve the gods of these nations. Lest there should be among you a root that bears gall and wormwood, and it come to pass when he hears the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. The Lord will not spare him, but the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Lord shall blot out his name from under heaven, and the Lord shall mark him off for evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the Torah, so that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the alien that shall come from a far land shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sickness which the Lord has laid upon it, and that the whole land is brimstone and salt and burning, that it's not sown, nor bears, nor does any grass grow on it, like the overthrow of Sodom and Amorah, Admah, and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in his anger and in his wrath, then all the nations shall say, why has the Lord done this to this land? What means the heat of this great anger? Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord God of their fathers, which he had made with them when he brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. For they went and served other gods, and worshipped them, gods whom they knew not, and whom he had not given to them. And the anger of the Lord burned against this land, to bring it upon it all the curses that are written in this book. And the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land as it is this day. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us and to our children and forever, that we may do all the words of this Torah. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and that shall call them to mind among all the nations into which the Lord thy God has driven thee, and shall return to the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will return thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, amongst whom the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. If thy outcasts be at the utmost parts of heaven, from there will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from there will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and that shall possess it. And he will do thee good, and multiply thee more than thy fathers. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thy heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them who hates thee, who persecuted thee. and thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments which I command thee this day. And the Lord thy God will make thee plenteous in every work of thy hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. For the Lord will again rejoice over thee for good, as he has rejoiced over thy fathers. If thou shalt hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the Torah, if thou turn to the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It's not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it? Nor is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldst say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very near to thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, death and evil, and that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments. Then thou shalt live and multiply, and the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land into which thou goest to possess it. But if thy heart turn away, that thou wilt not hear, but shalt be drawn away, and worship other gods, and serve them, I announce to you this day that you shall surely perish, and that you shall not prolong your days upon the land, whither thou passest over the Jordan to go to possess it. I call heaven and earth to witness this day against you, that I have set before thee life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave to him. For he is thy life and the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord thy God swore to thy fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov, to give them. And Moshe went and spoke all these words to all Yisrael, and he said to them, I'm 120 years old this day. I cannot more go out and come in. I can no more go out and come in. Also the Lord has said to me, thou shalt not go over this Jordan. The Lord thy God, he will go over before thee, and he will destroy these nations from before thee, and thou shalt dispossess them. And Yehoshua, he shall go over before thee, as the Lord has said, and the Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorite, and to their land, whom he destroyed, and the Lord shall deliver them up before your face, that you may do to them according to all the commandments which I have commanded you. Be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, He it is that goes with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. And Moshe called to Yehoshua, and said to him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and of good courage, for thou must go with this people to the land which the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them, and thou shalt cause them to inherit it. And the Lord, He it is that goes before thee. He will be with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Fear not, nor be dismayed. And Moshe wrote this Torah, and delivered it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all elders of Yisrael. And Moshe commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, in the time of the year of release, and the feast of booths, when all Yisrael is come to appear before the Lord thy God, in the place which he shall choose, thou shalt read this Torah before all Yisrael in their hearing. Gather the people together, men and women and children, and thy stranger that is within thy gates, that they may hear, and that they may learn, and fear the Lord your God, and observe to do all the words of this Torah, and that their children, who have not known anything, may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, as long as you live in the land whither you go over the Jordan to possess it. That's Deuteronomy 13 to 14. 31. Deuteronomy 31, 14.